So let's, in fact, get in a word from somebody who can really speak about the Election Commission and the way it functions. We've got Akshay Rout joining us, former DG, Election Commission of India. Good morning to you, Mr. Rout. And what do you make of all this controversy around some, routine things that the Election Commission does really when it's election time, but for some reason, because of the contentiousness of the contest, everything has become controversial and everything is being seen with a lot of doubt by the opposition?
Good morning, Gautam. That's a good question, but let me take this discussion a little in a different direction. A good election is a national achievement. It's not the achievement of Election Commission of India or the winner in the election even. I think it's the voters and it's the country India which wins after a good election. And I have been following this election from the very beginning. I've been looking at the planning and preparation as it was happening. I am not holding any brief for Election Commission of India today. And I have been watching from the time the elections were announced on 16th March. And I have reasons to believe that it has been one of the spectacularly managed elections. And the four aims which the Election Commission has been talking about, the muscle, money, misinformation, and the MCC issues, I think all of them have been reasonably and nicely handled. Of course, it's a work in progress. Every election is a learning, and there has to be further improvement in the next time. But there has to be some basic trust in India's system, in the constitutional system, of which Election Commission of India, the manager of the Indian elections, is a part. We can't just throw the baby with the bathwater, can we? We have seen the phases. We have seen the turnout of more than 64 crores, about half of them women. We have seen the inclusive participation of PBTG, the various people in difficult conditions of life, 85-year-old voting from home. We have seen LWE areas also having polling stations and voting. We have seen what happened in Jammu and Kashmir, how more than 58% came out for democratic participation. All these are great, precious accumulation of a national democratic and electoral heritage. We can't play it down. Now, there would be some complaints, and there are complaints. There are grievances. There are disputes, which are part of the election because it's political contestation. And in a contestation, there will be grievances. And these grievances are to be addressed in a legitimate manner. Some have gone to Supreme Court. Supreme Court has given certain rulings on everything. There have been talks on electoral roll. There have been talks on EVM. There have been talks on the data release of voter turnout. And there have been now more recently talk about counting, which is today. But I think all those questions are being answered regularly. If there is someone who wants to ask more questions, they're entitled to. But the electoral process, the electoral system, and the achievement of the Indian elections from 1951 onwards, we are in the 18th Lok Sabha now. I think it has been spectacular. And this election is one more addition to the heritage of Indian electoral democracy. And let us not try to undermine it in any manner. See, frivolous talk in the time of election is a great danger. We can talk, we can place our points in appropriate domains, and country has great institutions to answer, and they are obliged to answer. And they are, in my consideration, they are answering. And in the meantime, there is no end to distrust. Like in EVM case, Supreme Court made certain observations also. There is no end to distrust. We have a machinery right from the Chief Election Commissioner to the ARO, ROs. We have a machinery of 1.5 crore staffers. We have a machinery of 11 lakh polling stations. It is so extensive. And we have EVMs, which are also backed up by VVPATs for a sample count. We have all this. And now coming to counting, for example, we have it happening under the nose of about 60-70 lakh people. Many of them are political representatives. Right from the time EVMs are randomized. So I think we should trust the system. We should trust the constitution. We should trust the whatever has been given over to us over the last 70 years. And this election is a great achievement. But at the same time, all the grievances which are being made or which are being mentioned need to be addressed, and I guess they are being addressed.
Okay. Now, Akshay Rout has also been part of the Doordarshan family, so it's all the more reason to have you with us, sir. Shubhendu here. Now, 600 and over 600 million votes have been cast in these elections, and we've been talking about how they equal to God knows how many countries in Europe and in the West put together. If you could give us some insight now, because it's the counting day, it's going to be the EVM votes that's going to be counted, first the postal ballots, then the EVM counting. For those of us unaware, if you could give us some insight as to how does that counting process begin and continue with so many electronic votes coming in all together?
Subhendu, thank you for the special mention about me. Yes, first thing, I think your question is in two parts. One is perhaps we all are entitled to look at this great number of participation with some satisfaction. And it has happened after the Election Commission took note that there should not be a democracy deficit by lack of participation. That happened about 10-15 years back, after which we are consistently having more than 65% turnout in every national election, even in state elections. That's a good thing. And the women coming out, the tribal communities coming out, the coming out in great numbers, increasingly numbers by the youth. The urban apathy, of course, is still there. But we are on the game of increasing democratic participation. That's big. So far as the counting is concerned of all these numbers, it is such a well laid out procedure. There cannot be any deviation from it. The day the EVMs are placed in the polling station, the political parties, candidates, their agents are involved. Besides numerous observers and micro-observers, these EVMs are placed in polling stations, votes are collected in that, matched by the verifiability of the voter verifiable paper audit trail, VVPAT, and then they are brought and kept in the good custody of a strong room, which is also monitored by CCTV. Not only by that, by the physical presence of the representative of political parties. And today when counting takes place, to all the counting centers, these are ferried again under CCTV notice and in the presence of political parties representatives. And the whole operation of the counting happens with ARO's table. The political party agents are there. These 17 C form holders are there also in large numbers, which are matched with every control unit. And the control units are identified, opened, and counted in the presence of agents of all political parties. It's all transparency all around, like plenty of sunlight on it. So there is no question of any stink or any doubt coming anywhere, because it's happening in the glare of public eye, the stakeholders' eye. And I'll just make a mention, because you raised this point, and this point is needling some people today on the day of counting. Like the multi-party delegation went to Election Commission of India, they had quite a few points on which they made a mention and request. Each of those points have been addressed. And not only that, to be fair to one and all, there was no special resolution to be done, because all these which were requested by the political parties are part of the regular 7-decade-old procedure, which are getting stronger and stronger by the day. In any case, but if certain doubts are there, these are also being ring-fenced, if you call it, by consolidation, by allowing people to have further verification, further look, any other disclosure, transparency, that's the name of the game of election. Because elections, as some friend mentioned, are level playing field, transparency, disclosure, all these are important symptoms of good election management.
Certainly.
And as you know, just to complete this argument, globally, there are a lot of international observers who came, visitors, and Indian elections are something to be learnt and to be taken away and replicated elsewhere. We are being seen as gold standard. So I think we all should be happy, we should be trusting, and we should feel good that we have come to the conclusion of a great exercise, whatever may be the political results.
Certainly. Mr. Rout, thank you so much for joining us with your views and the information that you shared with all our viewers, very timely as well, just before the counting